we're going to talk about cultivating caring children. And, you know, I love words. And so I wonder why we're talking about cultivating, first of all.
It's the analogy that goes together with a developmental approach. It's always been a growth analogy, a gardening analogy, which differentiates it from the learning and behavioral approaches, which has always been a shaping analogy. That you shape behavior and you know, the learning approach based on the blank slate theory is that you shape the brain. Learning is a function of its consequences, and so it's all about that experience. And lost in that is the tremendous understanding that caring is absolutely natural and spontaneous and unfolds. It's not inevitable. Not inevitable. Growth is never inevitable. In fact, that's one of the problems is that we all grow older, but we don't all grow up. We don't come to realize our full potential. And so the idea of growth, the idea of development, the miracle of maturation, that's essential in the construct of cultivating, the gardening. The seed is much different, looks much different than the fruit. The capturing of seasons, so much different than today's very focused outcome approach. You take an idea of the behavior you want to get to, and you try to shape it there, instead of understanding how you nurture it from where it comes and the seeds. So that the growth analogy is absolutely essential to a true developmental way of thinking.
And tonight we're going to talk a lot about what you know and what both of you think about how do we do that, how do we cultivate it. But do you want anything about the word cultivating? Because the other one word I'm wondering about is caring. What does that mean?
We live in a society which is fundamentally based on greed. I mean, that's the essential ethic. The successful people are the ones who make the most, who acquire the most, who control the most. And these are the heroes, the cultural heroes. And caring's got nothing to do with it. If they care about anything, it's about how much they make, how powerful they become. And we have TV programs that celebrate that. And yet, when you actually look at what makes people happy, let alone what your heart will tell you, even the research will tell you that what makes people happy is when they're giving, when they're caring, when they're sharing, when they're extending themselves for the sake of others. So fundamentally, we have a huge conflict between the social messages that are inculcated and people's actual experience. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. So it's actually a sign of the cultural malaise that would even have such an evening. Because in cultures that function, you don't have to have an evening on cultivating caring children. It just happens. So I think the language itself reflects the concern that everybody in this audience, and including everybody on stage, has for the necessity of cultivating caring children and the difficulty of doing so in an environment that's fundamentally at least indifferent and sometimes hostile to caring.